I am going to present lecture on markers of pollution, algal nutrients, pesticides, soaps, detergents and radionuclides in water. An ongoing concern with water safety is the potential presence of chemical pollutants. These may include organic chemicals, inorganic, heavy metals from agriculture, industrial runoff, as these have been discussed previously in slides. Now the markers of water pollution are substances that show the presence of pollution sources. These include herbicide, indicative of agricultural runoff, fecal coliform bacteria that are characteristic of pollution from sewage, pharmaceutical metabolites, even caffeine that show the contamination by domestic wastewater. Biomarkers of water pollution are organisms that live in or closely associated with the bodies of water and provide evidence of pollution either from accumulation of water pollutants or their metabolites or from effects on organisms due to pollutant exposure. Fish are the most common bioindicators of water pollution, and fish lipid tissue is commonly analyzed for persistent organic water pollutant. Algal nutrients. The term eutrophication basically already discussed, derived from the Greek word meaning well nourished. It is a natural phenomena. Describe a condition of lakes or reservoirs involving excess algal growth. Although some algal productivity is necessary to support the food chain in aquatic ecosystem, excess algal growth under eutrophic conditions may lead to severe deterioration of water bodies. The first step in eutrophication of body of water is input of plant nutrients as carbon dioxide, hydrogen, oxygen, which will be discussed in the next slide. The nutrient rich body of water then produces a great deal of plant biomass by photosynthesis along with the smaller amount of animal biomass. Dead biomass, basically what happened, these dead biomass accumulates in the bottom of the lake where it decays, recycling nutrient carbon dioxide, phosphorus, nitrogen and potassium. If the lake is not too deep, bottom rooted plants begin to grow and accelerating the accumulation of solid material into the basin. Eutrophication is often responsible for the formation of huge deposits of coal and peat. Human activity can accelerate the process. The nutrients most likely to limiting are the fertilizer elements nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. All these are present in sewage and found in runoff from heavily fertilized fields. Each of these elements, essential plant nutrients, come from the natural source as carbon dioxide, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen in the form of nitrate, phosphorus, potassium, all in the form of essential nutrients. Phosphorus and potassium come from the mineral formation and nitrogen fixed by bacteria, cyanobacteria or discharge of lightning in the atmosphere. In some cases, nitrogen or even carbon may be limiting nutrients, the presence of which determines the rate of algal growth. This is particularly true of nitrogen in seawater. In seawater, micronutrients, particularly iron, may be limiting. Nitrogen source decay or pollutant is in the form of pollutant present in the atmosphere. In most cases in fresh water, the single plant nutrient most likely to be limiting is phosphorus, and it is generally regarded as culprit in excessive eutrophication. Household detergents were once a common source of phosphate in wastewater. Eutrophication control has concentrated on eliminating phosphates from detergents, removing phosphate at the sewage treatment plant, and preventing phosphate-laden sewage effluent from entering bodies of water, enabling the excessive growth of algae that cause eutrophication. Similarly, other micronutrients that are present in trace elements, silicon, zinc, cobalt, copper, molybdenum, iron, sodium, come from the source as minerals and perform the function, metabolic function, or constituents of many several enzymes. Aquatic biota are sensitive to extreme pH, largely because of osmotic effects. They cannot live in a medium having a salinity to which they are not adapted. Thus, a freshwater fish soon comes in the ocean, and sea fish normally cannot live in fresh water. Excess salinity soon kills plants not adapted to it. There are of course ranges in the salinity and pH in which organisms live. The most common source of pollutant acid in water is acid mine drainage. The sulfuric acid in such drainage arises from the microbial oxidation of pyrites or other sulfide material. Industrial waste have the potential to contribute strong acid to water. Sulfuric acid produced by the air oxidation of pollutant, sulfur dioxide, enters natural waters as acidic rainfall. In cases where the water doesn't have contact with a basic mineral such as limestone, the water pH may become dangerously low. Excess alkalinity accompanying high pH are not introduced directly into water from anthropogenic sources. However, in many geographic areas, in the soil and mineral strata are alkaline and impart a high alkalinity to water. Human activity can aggravate the situation. For example, exposure of alkaline overburden from strip mining to the surface water or groundwater. Excess alkalinity in water is manifested by characteristic of fringe of white salts at the edge of bodies of water or on the bank of a stream. Water salinity may be increased by number of human activities. Water passing through municipal water systems picks up salts from sources such as recharging water softeners with sodium chloride. Salts can reach from spoil piles. One of the major environmental concentrates on the production of shale oil, for example, is the high percentage of leachable sodium sulfate in the piles of spent shale. Careful control of these wastes is necessary to prevent further saline pollution of water in areas where salinity is already a problem. Oxygen is vitally important species in water. In water, oxygen is consumed rapidly by the oxidation of organic matter. As microorganisms consume, degrade the organic matter and conversion into the carbon dioxide and water. Unless the water is re-aerated efficiently, as by turbulent flow in shallow streams, it rapidly loses oxygen and will not support higher forms of aquatic life. In addition to microorganism mediated oxidation of organic matter, oxygen in water may be consumed by the biooxidation of nitrogenous material, as ammonium ion in the presence of oxygen converted into the nitrate, and by chemical or biochemical oxidation of the chemical reducing agent, as conversion of iron plus 2 into the plus 3 state, conversion of sulfide into sulfate. All these processes contribute to deoxygenation of water. The addition of oxidizable pollutants to the stream produces a typical oxygen sac curve, which which will be discussed in the next slide. A well-aerated, unpolluted stream is free of oxidizable material. The oxygen level is high and bacterial population is low. BOD, basically the degree of oxygen consumption by microbially mediated of oxidation of contaminants into water. What is it means? It means that amount of dissolved oxygen which is needed by aerobic biological organisms, and these aerobic biological organisms break down the organic material present in the water samples at a certain temperature over a specific time period. The BOD value is expressed in milligrams of oxygen consumed per liter of the sample during 5 days of incubation at 20 degrees Celsius. BOD analysis is similar in function as chemical oxygen demand. Both measures the amount of organic compound in water. However, chemical oxygen demand is less specific since it measures everything that can be chemically oxidized rather than just level of biologically oxidized organic matter. The BOD used in measuring the waste loading to treatment plants and in evaluating the BOD removal efficiency of such treatment plants. With the addition of oxidizable pollutants, oxygen level drops and it produces a typical oxygen state curve. In this curve, as you see, 3 different zones. First zone is the clean zone, next is the decomposition zone. In the clean zone, oxygen level is high, normal, and the bacterial population is relatively low. With the addition of oxidizable pollutant, the oxygen level drops because re-aeration cannot keep up with the oxygen consumption. In the decomposition zone, the bacterial population rises. The next is the septic zone, which is characterized by high bacterial population and very low oxygen levels. The septic zone terminates when oxidizable is exhausted and the recovery zone begins. In the recovery zone, the bacterial population decreases and the dissolved oxygen level increases until the water regains its original condition. Although BOD is realistic measure of water quality, insofar as oxygen is concerned, the test for determining it is time-consuming process. Hence, total organic carbon is frequently measured by catalytically oxidizing carbon in water and measuring the carbon dioxide that is evolved. Soaps and detergents. Soaps are salts of higher fatty acids such as sodium stearate. The cleaning action of soaps results largely from its emulsifying power and its ability to lower the surface tension of water. This concept may be understood by considering the dual nature of soap anion. An explanation of it shows that stearate ion consists of an ionic carboxyl head and the long hydrocarbon tail. In the presence of oils, fats and other water insoluble organic material, the tendency is for the tail of the anion to dissolve the organic matter, whereas the head remains in aqueous solution. Hence the tail is responsible to dissolve the organic matter. Thus the soap emulsifies or suspends organic material in water. The primary disadvantage of soap as a cleaning agent comes from its reaction with the divalent cations to form insoluble salts of fatty acids as shown in the reaction below. These insoluble solids, usually salts of magnesium or calcium, are not at all effective as cleaning agent. The insoluble curd formation, basically this insoluble curd form deposits on clothing and in washing machine. If sufficient soap is used, all of the divalent cations may be removed by their reaction with the soap, and water containing excess soap will have good cleaning qualities. This is approach commonly used when soap is implied with unsoftened water in wash basin, where the insoluble calcium and magnesium salts can be tolerated. However, in applications such as washing clothing, the water must be softened by removal of calcium and magnesium or their complexation by substance such as polyphosphate. Although the formation of insoluble calcium and magnesium salts has resulted in the essential elimination of soap as cleaning agent for clothing, dishes and other materials. As soon as soap gets into sewage or an aquatic system, it precipitates as calcium and magnesium salts. Hence, any effects that soap might have in solution are eliminated. With eventual biodegradation, the soap is eliminated from the environment. Now the next is effect of detergent. Synthetic detergents have good cleaning properties and don't form insoluble salts with hardness ions such as calcium and magnesium, as these insoluble salts are formed by using soap. Such synthetic detergents have additional advantages of being the salts of relatively strong acid, and they don't precipitate out of acidic water as insoluble acids. A undesirable characteristics of soaps, as the soaps precipitate out of acidic water as insoluble salts of calcium and magnesium. The potential of detergents to contaminate water is high because of their heavy use throughout the consumer, institutional, industrial market. The key ingredient of detergent is surfactant or surface active agent, which acts in effect to make water better and a better cleaning agent. Surfactants concentrate at interfaces of water with gases, solids and immiscible liquids. They do so because of their amphiphilic structure, meaning that one part of the molecule is polar or ionic group, which is known as head, having strong affinity for water, and the other part is hydrocarbon group or tail with an aversion to water. The kind of structure, as in this structure, if you see linear alkyl benzene sulfonate, the linear chain, alkyl chain, having the affinity for oil and greasy and waxy substances, but the sulfonate, due to sulfonate group, it binds with the soluble into the water. Alkyl benzene sulfonate was a common surfactant used in detergent formulation. However, it suffered disadvantages because it is very slowly biodegradable because of its branch chain structure. Hence, the conversion of alkyl benzene sulfonate, class of anionic surfactant, into the linear alkyl benzene sulfonate. Linear alkyl sulfonates are also surfactants. These are the biodegradable. The general structure formula of linear alkyl sulfonate is described here. Linear alkyl sulfonate is most biodegradable because the alkyl portion of linear alkyl sulfonate is not branched and does not contain tertiary carbon, which is so detrimental to biodegradability. Since linear alkyl sulfonate has replaced alkyl benzene sulfonate in detergent, alkyl benzene sulfonate contains the tertiary carbon. The problem arising from the surface active agents in detergent, such as toxicity to fish fingerlings, have diminished, and the level of surface active agent found in water have decreased markedly. Benzene alkyl sulfonates were blamed for the formation of large expanses of stable foam into areas of wastewater discharge such as lakes, rivers, coastal areas, as well as foaming problems encountered in sewage treatment and contamination of drinking water. Some detergent surfactants are non-ionic. One non-ionic detergent is alkyl phenol polyethoxylate, are very useful as detergents, dispersing agent, and emulsifier, solubilizer, and wetting agent. These substances and their degradation products, in which polyethoxylate chains have been shortened by microbially mediated hydrolysis, tend to survive biological sewage treatment and to be discharged with the sewage effluent. They also accumulate in sewage sludge, much of which is disposed on agricultural land. These products are thought to be xenoestrogens, that is estrogen hormone mimickers, and their potential entry into food chain from sludge treated soil is of major concern, as these enter from sludge treated soil into the food chain. Because of these concerns, the use of these compounds have been severely restricted in some European countries. Detergent builders added to detergents to bind to hardness ions, making the detergent solution alkaline and improving the action of detergent surfactants, can cause environmental problems. Detergent formulation also contain complexing agents added to complex calcium and to function as a binder. Other ingredients include ion exchangers, alkalis, sodium silicates, antifoam stabilizers, bleaches, fabric softeners, enzymes, fragrances, dyes, and diluent sodium sulfate. Increasing demands on the performance of detergents have led to the use of enzymes in detergent formulation. To a degree, can take the place of chlorine and phosphates, both of which have detrimental environmental concerns. Pesticides. The introduction of DDT during World War II marked the beginning of period of very rapid growth in pesticide use. Pesticides are employed for many different purposes. These are the chemicals used in the control of invertebrates, including insecticides, molluscicides for the control of snails and sludge, nematicides for the control of microscopic roundworms. Pesticides are classified into variety of other classes as insecticides, herbicides, rodenticides, molluscicides, fungicides. Fungicides are used against fungi, bactericides against bacteria, slimicides against slime causing organism in water, and algicide against algae. Several classes of pesticide and other chemicals are of particular concern as water pollutants because their potential effects. These are highly biodegradation resistant compounds, non or probable carcinogens, third toxicants with adverse reproductive or developmental effects, neurotoxins including cholinesterase inhibitors, substance with high acute toxicity, and non-groundwater contaminants. Degradation products of some pesticides are encountered in water at a level similar to or even higher than the parent pesticide. In some cases, the degradation products are more toxic than the parent pesticide. An example of the pesticide degradation product commonly found in water is aminomethyl phosphonic acid produced from herbicidal glyphosate, which under the brand name Roundup is the most widely used pesticide in the world. Then the natural product insecticide pyrethrin are also used as a pesticide. Plants provide significant classes of insecticides including nicotine from tobacco, from certain legume roots, pyrethrin Because of the ways in which they are applied and their biodegradability, these substances are unlikely to be significant water pollutants. Pyrethrin and other synthetic analogues represent both the oldest and newest of insecticides. The most important commercial sources of insecticidal pyrethrins are Chrysanthemum variety. Pyrethrins have several advantages as insecticides, including which make them relatively safe for mammals, ability to rapidly paralyze flying insects, and good biodegradability characteristics. But instead of these advantages, these pesticides accumulate into the water bodies and enter into the food chain and cause toxicity into humans with adverse toxic effects. As major of these pesticides are known as probable carcinogens. Chlorinated hydrocarbon or organochlorine insecticides are hydrocarbon compounds in which various number of hydrogen atoms have been replaced by chlorine atoms. Of the organochlorine insecticide, the most notable has been DDT. DDT converted into DDE and DDT. DDT conversion into DDE under anoxic conditions. DDT is dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane. It is converted into DDE, which is known as dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane and dichloro-diphenyl dichloroethane under oxic conditions. Many organochloride pesticides are no banned. Chlorinated or organochlorine insecticides have been replaced by number of other insecticides. Among chlorinated insecticides, the most commonly used insecticide Enderine, Chlordane, Eldrine, Heptachlor, Lindane and Endosulfan. Now the next is organophosphate insecticides. Organophosphate insecticides are insecticidal organic compounds that contain phosphorus, some of which are organic esters of organophosphoric acid such as paraoxone. Insecticidal phosphorus compounds vary a great deal. Their major toxic effect is the inhibition of acetylcholinesterase, an enzyme essential for the nerve formation. Another example is malathion. The enzyme that accomplish malathion hydrolysis are possessed by mammals but not by insects. So mammals can detoxify malathion where insects cannot detoxify malathion. Pesticidal organic derivatives of carbamic acid are collectively known as carbamates. Carbamate pesticides have been widely used because some are more biodegradable than formerly popular organochlorine insecticides and have lower dermal toxicities than most common organophosphate pesticides. Carbaryl is an example of carbamate pesticide, has higher water solubility. Carbaryl widely used insecticides on lawns or gardens. It has low toxicity to mammals. Similarly, carbofuran also has higher water solubility and acts as plant systemic insecticide. What is meant by plant systemic insecticide? Plant systemic insecticide is an insecticide when it is sprayed on plant. It is taken up by the roots and leaves of the plant so that insects are poisoned by the plant material on which they feed. Trimicarb has been widely used in agriculture as a systemic insecticide. Unlike many carbamates, it is rather persistent with strong tendency to bind to soil. Carbamates are toxic to mammals because they inhibit acetylcholinesterase. The inhibition of acetylcholinesterase is reversible. Loss of acetylcholinesterase inhibition activity may result from the hydrolysis of carbamate ester, which can occur metabolically. Fungicide. Fungicide are widely applied to cereal and food crops to prevent fungal infection of these crops. Because of this, fungicide have potential to contaminate water. One of fungicide, chlorothalonil, has been used as a fungicide. Herbicide. Herbicides are commonly found in surface water and groundwater. Among commonly encountered in surface water and groundwater are atrazine, simazine and cyanazine. Herbicide heterocyclic nitrogen compounds. A number of important herbicides contain 3 heterocyclic nitrogen atoms in the ring structure and are therefore called triazenes. Triazine herbicides inhibit photosynthesis. Selectivity is gained by inability of target plants to metabolize and detoxify the herbicide. The most long established and common example of this class, atrazine, commonly applied to kill weeds in corn and a widespread water pollutant in corn growing regions. Another number of this class is metribuzin, which is used on soybeans, sugarcane and wheat. And chlorophenoxy herbicides are also used to control the weed and brush control. Now the next is bactericides. Bactericides are found in cleaning and consumer products. For example, triclosan, used to kill the bacteria, used in antibacterial soaps as well as in other consumer items, shampoos, deodorants, lotions, toothpaste, shoes and carpets. The continued development of new products used for various purposes has led to interest in emerging pollutants of various kinds found in water. Prominent among these emerging pollutants are nanomaterials consisting of very small entities in the 1 to 100 nanometer size range. Nanomaterials of various kinds have unique properties of high thermal stability, low permeability, high strength and high conductivity. These and other properties are leading to use in electronics, automobiles, cosmetics, water purification and other products. It is anticipated that the use of nanomaterials in drug delivery will increase rapidly in future. The commercial use of nanomaterials are very rapidly growing. Another class of emerging pollutants consists of siloxanes, commonly called silicones, including octamethyl cyclotetrasiloxane, decamethyl cyclopentasiloxane, and these are chemically very stable, leading to their use as a coolant in transformers, protective encapsulating materials in semiconductors, lubricants, coatings. Siloxanes are used in personal care products including deodorants, cosmetics, soaps, hair conditioners, hair dyes and other products such as water repellents, windshields, coatings, detergents, anti-foaming agents and even food additives. Siloxanes basically cause problems because they are resistant to biodegradation and as a result they are encountered in water that has received wastewater. Disinfection byproducts are of some concern as water pollutants. These are compounds containing halogens and nitrogen that result from reaction of water disinfectants including chlorine, hypochlorite, chlorine dioxide. In addition to exposure in drinking water, humans may be exposed to these substances through skin contact in bathing or swimming and as a vapor emitted from the water during showers. Brominating and iodated compounds are formed in chlorinated water by the reaction of bromide or iodide in water. The most common disinfection byproducts are trihalomethane, chloroform, dibromo chloromethane, bromodichloromethane, and tribromomethane. These are all byproducts of water chlorination and are group B carcinogens, shown to cause cancer in laboratory animals. Group B carcinogens means that cause cancer in laboratory animals. Dibromochloromethane is regarded as causing about 10 times the risk of cancer as chloroform and tribromomethane. Various substances associated with household waste are found in water, especially in treated sewage discharge. These materials include steroids, surfactants, flame retardants, fragrances, plasticizers, and pharmaceuticals and their metabolites. Pharmaceutical compounds and their partial degradation products are discharged with the sewage as waste from human injection and from being discarded from wastewater. The quantities of these substances in sewage in developed countries can reach of order of 100 metric tons per year. The most obvious effect of pharmaceuticals and their metabolic products in water has been feminization of male fish observed downstream from treated sewage discharges resulting from estrogenic compounds in wastewater. Radionuclides in the aquatic environment. The massive production of radionuclides, radioactive isotopes by weapons, nuclear reactors since World War II has been accompanied by increasing concern about the effects of radioactivity on health and environment. Radionuclides are produced as fission products of heavy nuclei of elements such as uranium or plutonium. They are also produced by the reaction of neutron with stable nuclei. A heavy nucleus such that, as shown in picture, uranium-235 may absorb a neutron and break up, undergo fission, yielding a lighter radioactive nuclei. A stable nucleus may absorb a neutron to produce a radioactive nucleus. Radionuclides are formed in larger quantities as base products in nuclear power generation. Their ultimate disposal is a problem that has caused much controversy regarding the widespread use of nuclear power. Artificially produced radionuclides are widely used in industrial medical application, particularly as tracer. With so many potential sources of radionuclides as carbon-14, naturally occurring and from cosmic reactions, silicon-32, potassium-14, which is produced from the natural potassium, including potassium in the body, radium-226, as strontium-90, produced from the reactor and weapons fission, cobalt-60, iron-55, manganese-54. These are produced from non-fission sources, from non-fission neutron reaction in the reactor. Radionuclides basically enter aquatic system from natural sources. Therefore, transport reactions and biological concentration of radionuclides in aquatic ecosystem are of great importance to environmental chemists. Radionuclides differ from the nuclei in that radionuclides basically emit ionizing radiation. That ionizing radiation, what type of ionizing radiation? Alpha particles, beta particles, gamma rays. These are the ionizing radiations. The most massive of these elements is the alpha particle, a helium nucleus of atomic mass 4 consisting of 2 neutrons and 2 protons. The symbol of alpha particle is alpha 24 represented in the first equation. An example of alpha production is found in the radioactive decay of uranium-238, decay into the thorium and alpha particle. The transformation occurs when the uranium nucleus atomic number 92 and atomic mass 238 loses an alpha particle atomic number 2 and atomic mass 4 to yield a thorium nucleus atomic number 90 and atomic mass 234. Beta radiation consists of either highly energetic negative electrons, which are designated in equation 2, or positive electrons called the positrons, designated as beta plus 1, 0. A typical beta emitter, chlorine 38, may be produced by irradiating chlorine with the nucleon. The chlorine 37 nucleus natural abundance 24.5% absorbs a neutron to produce chlorine 38 and a gamma radiation. The chlorine 38 nucleus is radioactive and loses a negative beta particle to become an argon 38 nucleus. Since the negative beta particle has essentially no mass and a -1 charge, the stable product isotope argon 38 has the same mass and charge 1 greater than the chlorine. Gamma rays are electromagnetic radiation similar to X-rays, though some more energetic, since the energy of gamma radiation is often well-defined property of emitting nucleus. It may be used in some cases for qualitative and quantitative analysis of radionuclei. The primary effect of alpha particle, beta particle and gamma rays on material is the production of ions. They are called ionizing radiation. Due to their large size, alpha particles do not penetrate matter but cause an amount of radiation, ionizing radiation, along their short path of penetration. Alpha particles present little hazard outside the body but very dangerous when ingested. Also, beta particles are more penetrating than the alpha particles. They produce much less ionization per unit path length. Gamma rays are much more penetrating than particulate radiation but cause less ionization. The decay of specific radionuclides follows first order kinetics, that is, the number of nuclei disintegrated in short interval is directly proportional to the number of radioactive nuclei present. The rate of decay minus dN over dt is given by the equation. N is the number of radioactive nuclei present, lambda is the rate constant which has unit reciprocal time. Since the exact number of disintegration per second is difficult to determine in the laboratory, radioactive decay is often described in terms of the activity, that is proportional to the absolute rate of decay. The half-life is generally used instead of lambda to characterize a radioactive nuclide. As the term implies, the half-life is the period of time during which half of a given number of atoms of a specified kind of radionuclide decay. The 10 half-lives are required for the loss of 99.9% of the activity of a radionuclide. Radiation damages living organisms by initiating harmful chemical reaction in tissues. For example, bonds are broken in macromolecules that carry out life processes. In cases of acute radiation poisoning, bone marrow which produce red blood cells is destroyed and the concentration of red blood cells is diminished. Some radionuclides found in water, primarily radium and potassium-40, originate from the natural sources leaching from minerals. Others come from pollutant sources from nuclear power plants and testing of nuclear weapons. The level of radionuclides found in water are measured in units picocuries per liter. The radionuclide of major concern in drinking water is radium. Strontium-90 fallout drops out pasture and cropland and is ingested by cattle. It enters the bodies of infants and children by the way of cow milk. Much concern has been expressed over strontium-90, a common waste product of nuclear testing. Radionuclide with very long half-life may be quite persistent in the environment, but of such low activity having less half-life are not very much persistent. The radionuclides which are persistent in the environment cause health hazard effects because they are not biodegradable. Therefore, radionuclides with intermediate half-life are the most dangerous. They persist long enough to enter living systems while still remaining high activity.